You're listening to The Whole Truth, a Resources Rising Stars podcast.
Welcome back to The Whole Truth podcast. I'm Paul Armstrong. Brownfields gold exploration in Western Australia has been one of the most fruitful areas for investors in the past couple of years. We all know about the success of Spartan and its brethren. They've taken a project that's been ignored or watered down by one of the big boys, apply some new thinking to it, drill some holes, and hey presto, shareholders can make a lot of money. That's exactly what today's guest on the Whole Truth podcast is all about. Christopher Piggott is the Managing Director of Leeuwin Metals. They recently bought the Marta Gold project near Southern Cross in WA. It came out of the Ramelius stable. A company that's had a lot of success producing gold, but big companies don't find as much gold as little companies. It's well established that small companies are the gurus when it comes to exploration. Chris tells us about why they bought Marta. Ramelius certainly didn't shut it down because it ran out of gold. They just moved on to other things. They bought the Spartan project. Now it's Chris's turn to drill some holes at Marta. He's already off to a flying start. He's owned this project for 4 months and they've already completed 2 drilling programs. But now they're about to go further north and test a new area known as Everston, where they know there's high-grade gold. The question is just how much of it. He's about to go up there and watch the drill rig get turning, and he's preparing a resource estimate for later in the year. Chris takes us through why they bought the project and why they think they could be onto something very special in WA. Chris, you're obviously a man in a hurry.
Yeah, we've been busy this year.
You've been busy. That's an understatement. So you bought this project, you completed the acquisition 4 months ago. It seems like your feet have hardly touched the ground since.
Yeah, so we bought the Marta Gold project off Ramelius at the beginning of the year, completed that. And in the last quarter, we put out 2 kind of drill programs, 5,000 metres, been on the ground mapping, identifying new targets, working on resources, just kind of getting into the project all within kind of a very short period.
Right. Now, you say you bought the Marta project. Now, the Marta project was housed within Ramelius, wasn't it?
Yes.
So tell us how you came to get your hands on this. I mean, you're talking 150 kilometres north of Southern Cross in Western Australia. We should say for our big band of followers on the East Coast, Southern Cross is probably 2/3 of the way between Perth and Kalgoorlie. So it is right along that stretch going into the Eastern Goldfields. You go due north to Southern Cross, 150 kilometres, and you hit the Marta Gold project.
Yep.
How did you come to get your hands on a project in such a great address?
Yeah, so Southern Cross is a well-known kind of classic goldfields. As the kind of old-timers back in the day would have gone to Kalgoorlie, they slowly progressed from the west to the east, and they found gold in, Southern Cross, Coolgardie, and then ultimately Kalgoorlie and beyond. What we have is the Marta Gold projects, the greenstone belt north of Southern Cross. We bought it off Ramelius. They used it for mill feed for their project up at Edna May as a plant there that they were processing in their mine, and they needed mill feed to baseload that. It's a big mill. So this project was kind of not really needed for them anymore once they decided to put pause on Edna May.
Why did they do that? I mean, Edna May was obviously an important project for them,
yeah.
But they shut Edna May, and as you say, Marta was feeding Edna May.
Yeah,
It was no need for it anymore.
No, so it was essentially used as base feed to keep the mill fed and, keep the ounce profile going there and make sure the mill wasn't kind of running on empty and then I guess in the meantime they were being pretty aggressive with some other opportunities that they bought Spartan around the same time as they divested our project to us. So I think all in all, it's kind of a classic company rotating their projects for something that was non-essential and supporting one of their main assets while they were looking for something else. And, a lot of juniors in our position have come across projects like this that maybe haven't received the attention that they deserve or are required. And that's, we felt that it was a good fit for us to kind of get a project that was maybe not core to them. But with a bit of exploration, a bit of focus on our behalf, we could have some exploration success. And I think the deal structure that we managed to do was Ramelius ended up becoming a shareholder. So they obviously still think the ground has got opportunity like we do. And they've backed that by taking, stock in the company and being just under 5% shareholder.
Right. It's right out of the classic WA gold industry playbook, isn't it? One man's trash is another man's treasure. They as you say, they had a role for it as a source of feed, but saying that, they didn't have any desire to explore it. They were going, did they? They just took the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes to their business model. They've got a lot of examples where they buy, resources and then mine what they need to get out of it, and then they kind of partner up with someone else as a junior and rotate the asset, and they go and do that again. And I think we just kind of one of those companies that have been able to go, well, it's the right asset for a company our size, and the wrong fit for them. And
it's a good model because
it's a great model.
In the sense that history shows that smaller companies are much more effective and successful in finding things than big companies. So specialise in what you're good at. They obviously believe they're good in mining and production, and clearly their track records suggest they're bang on. So therefore they say, well, we'll take what we can. We've given it now to Leeuwin, and we'll let Chris and the team apply the geology.
And that's what we're doing. That's what we've been busy doing this year.
Right. So as you say at the outset, you've done 2 drilling programs in the space of 4 months.
Yep.
What do the results tell us?
Yeah, so we've been mainly focused on the brownfields extensions beneath the pits and along the kind of known trends. And I think from that point of view, it's enabled us to kind of work the mining leases. So when we were doing kind of project reviews last year and early this year, we wanted projects that were on mining leases that had potential for resource growth, as well as new exploration opportunities, and Marta ticked all those boxes, and in a really great geological address. And I think from our point of view, we drilled some holes beneath some of the pits. We've intercepted plus 20 metre wide zones at 1.5 grams. We saw kind of new zones of mineralisation, 8 metres at kind of 3 grams. We've got our last drill holes that we put out with 5 metres at 5 grams. And there was even a little bit of stuff. We ended in mineralisation on that hole. We had to extend it. We drilled another kind of 5 metres of heavily altered rock as well. So from that point of view, we're demonstrating that the brownfield opportunity is still well and truly open. We're also looking at some of the greenfields or earlier stage type targets within that area as well. And one of the things we've done is going back to that early exploration approach that maybe other bigger companies might not do, because it's it takes a bit more time, a bit more thought, a bit more resources as far as
it
focus.
can be a very laborious process.
It can be, yeah. But I think from our point of view, it's like that's
collecting rocks and chip samples is not everyone's idea of a fun day out.
It's not, especially when it's raining or 0 degrees or 40 degrees or whatever. But I think we looked at the project with going, well, this is another avenue that hasn't been fully explored. So we've got 150 rock chips in the lab from old workings, mostly around on the mining lease. There's some kind of old areas where there's kind of looks like an old state battery type thing that they mined in kind of probably in the 30s. And these kind of mineralized trends of workings are in a slightly different orientation to the main modern mining areas. And that's just at Marta Central. And then when we look further at the kind of broader package, we bought over 500 square Ks of tenure as well. So it's not like we just focused on a couple of old pits around the place. Like we've got a handful of old pits, which is an obvious brownfields exploration target, but we have the greenfields opportunities. We have 500 square Ks of tenure. And then when you go to the north, we've got this prospect called Evanston. And Evanston has a kind of interesting history as far as being a mine in the 1930s, then kind of shut down due to, that happens back in the day. And then that was revisited in the kind of early 2000s, 99 and 2000 by a little private group. They did a few little pits out there. And essentially it hasn't been explored for. There hasn't been a drill hole in the last 20 years. And we're going up there in the next couple of weeks to drill the first program in a very long time. And what that is up there is high-grade gold, shallow mineralisation next to a road with a kind of long history of production in the historical sense that just hasn't been explored in the modern times. And we're really excited to get out there. And what we're targeting is, the things that we've done to date. We took some rock chips in the pit wall. There's kind of a 28 grammer, an 8 grammer, 5 grammer in the pit wall in a quartz vein. So we know there's gold, there's visible gold in there in some of those samples. It continues. They didn't mine everything. We're doing work out there, mapping. We're seeing more workings that we weren't fully aware of when we bought the project. So, yeah, it's got everything we need to get going on. We've remodeled all the historic data up there as well. And there's still opportunity to grow that and down dip extents. I think the deepest hole on the project up there is like 80 metres or something. So it's extremely shallow. And just hasn't had the kind of modern exploration approach that we're going to apply in the coming weeks.
So you have a two-pronged strategy for growth. One is to extend the known mineralisation at depth along strike around the established pits, and that's a classic WA brownfields gold exploration story. But you've got a second string to your bow targeting these new areas where you think there could be repeats and high-grade mineralisation.
It's a really simple kind of story, and it's when we like part of the pitch to the board when we bought our project, when we were like discussing Marta, it was a really simple strategy. It was, we want to find a project that has potential for resources. Marta has that tick, and, you know, mining leases tick, near infrastructure tick, and some exploration opportunity tick. So Marta ticked all the boxes for us in that sense, and it's in WA. So it's a really kind of obvious type thing that we were doing, and we're just executing on that strategy now. And I think more broadly, when you look at one of the things that we really like about the gold space in WA is, you know, obviously record gold prices are great, but I think we're kind of used to the fact that there's so much going on in the exploration and mining space in WA. We don't appreciate it fully. And when we bought the project, you know, there wasn't a lot of noise in that part of the world. And then all of a sudden it's a hive of activity. You know, you speak to guys that do a bit of clearing and stuff around, they're busy. Maybe they weren't busy like 12 months ago, and all of a sudden there's all these companies doing stuff.
Right,
and,
yeah.
you know, when we announced the deal, you know, since the beginning of the year in the Southern Cross Belt, you've had Golden Horse List, MinRes have divested their iron ore project to a private group, and we're next door to that. You've had a bit of stuff going on with some of the miners in the region, you know, getting water permits and looking at kind of turning on their mines down at Bullfinch. I mean, you see Leeuwin Metals bought a project recently just out of Bullfinch as well. You've had stuff with Medallion buying assets off IGO. You're seeing a lot of kind of activity in that part of the world, and it's a very dynamic and fast-paced changing part of the world to be exploring for gold. And our other kind of idea on that part is that the Southern Cross Belt hasn't had a lot of consolidation and just hasn't had, like, you know, it's kind of been a bit hidden away from the world for a little bit, and the kind of most of the activity's been in the kind of proper gold fields, you know, the Kalgoorlie regions all the way up to kind of Leonora north of there. And there's been an enormous amount of activity as far as juniors and majors. And we felt there's a real opportunity for a small company like Leeuwin to get in on like what is potentially a really interesting part of the world, to go for exploring in great rocks, but also there's that kind of always interest in other opportunities in that part of the world.
So it's obviously a desirable address, a des res, as they say in London.
Yeah.
But you've got the address. Who are the people in your neighbourhood that might be of some use to you in a commercial arrangement down the track?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just good to see people doing work in that region. It builds the profile of what we're all doing. You know, I think we've probably turned a bit of a spotlight on that part of the world. A project that was kind of hidden in a bigger company, now it kind of gets a bit of its own airtime as far as the results that are coming out. And I think we've been able to put out some good results, and that gets the market interest and shows the exploration potential.
The results show what sort of has been left behind, though, don't they? It shows that it wasn't halted because the gold ran out.
No, and
that's the key distinction here, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and I think that's part of our drilling to date is demonstrating. You know, we're seeing mineralisation 200 metres beneath the pit with kind of, you know, plus 1.5, you know, up to 10 gram in metre zones and stuff like that. So there's good grade, there's depth continuity. It looks to be well behaved geologically. And there's still a lot of other exploration opportunities as far as kind of the workings and pit extensions, things like that. And I think one of the other factors is, you know, when they originally bought this project in 2019, Ramelius did, and when they turned it on, I mean, the gold prices increased significantly, and that lifts all kind of boats in that sense. And it lets you kind of look at these projects with a bit of a different eye than maybe explorers in the past did as well. So, you know, it's a lot of tailwinds to make being exploring out there really good.
Who are the operating plants within a trucking distance? Yeah,
so in that part of the world, Ramelius was trucking the dirt to Edna May, so it's about 150, 200 k's away. You've got...
so is Edna May still in their portfolio?
Yeah.
Sitting there on care and maintenance?
Yeah, Ramelius still own it, and it's on care and maintenance. And that's when they divested the project, right? So they shut down Edna May and put that on care and maintenance.
Could you see a stage or a day when you would put Humpty Dumpty back together again and rejoin Edna May to Marta?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like at the moment we're focused on what we're doing at Marta, and I think, you know, we've got enough to do on our plate as far as go out and drill some holes and add resources.
There's enough exploration upside, and that's where the value creation for shareholders is, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, we've only owned it for a few months. It feels like a while, but when you look back and you go, is that only kind of yesterday? And I think when we put out our major milestones ahead of us, you know, ongoing drilling, more drill results, rock chipping, mapping, and then resources in the back end of the year, I think that'll kind of put us in a good position to plan forward going there. And I think, but at the moment, we're definitely focused on the value we can add through the drill bit.
Right. So what happens now? That you're about to get up to Evanston, as you said, and start whacking some holes into it.
Yep.
And that'll be the first real new target you've had to go at.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's, most of the holes are just finalising the drill program now, but most of the holes are kind of 50 to 100 metres deep, so really shallow drilling. You see a lot of companies now starting, plus 300 metres seems to be the norm to drill holes these days. So I think, when you look at that, it's kind of going back 20 years since the last people had it and explored out there. So, shallow, potential for high grade, mineralisation looks like it hangs together really well. We've kind of see some kind of nice high grade shoots within that in the historic data, and we're hoping we can extend those, replicate it, and grow it and add resources up there as well.
Would you consider a near-term mining opportunity, Chris, or is it really just a part of trying to build a much bigger inventory?
Yeah, I think we want to know what Marta is before we make those decisions. But the good thing about being in WA is something like that's always available to you. Not many places in the world where you can speak with such certainty about, if you find something, you'll be able to
you can bring a contractor and cold treat it and the like. Yep.
So it makes deciding whether to drill here or there, or spend money and invest that drill money in the drill bit. You can get a lot of confidence from that, knowing that if we do find something, there's going to be a obvious pathway to production, or some other activity in that sense. So but we're very much focused on adding value.
So what's the market cap? The market cap today is
15 mil. So I think when you look at
the leverage to the upside,
board and management, top 20 is like 60% of the register. We've got Ramelius there as a shareholder. Tightly held capital structure as far as, and we're all, we've put money in ourselves, so we're very heavily motivated through kind of share price increases. And at a market cap of 15 million, I think it's really compelling value when you compare a lot of the peers in the region and kind of the broader gold space. And you see a lot of these transactions are kind of anywhere from kind of 50 to north of $150 an ounce type scenarios. So there's lots of markers that indicate that, some ounces in the ground, and it more than justifies our valuation very quickly.
Now you're working on a resource, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. And I think we'll be able to demonstrate that we're, compelling
so what's
value.
the timing of that?
Yeah, end of the year.
Yeah. So you wouldn't need much exploration success to be able to get a substantial return on a $15 million market cap, wouldn't it?
No, and I think I think it sets us a good base for further growth. And I think what maybe people don't appreciate is that we put out a couple of database reviews, and those drill holes are still very real and still there. So there's some very significant kind of plus 30 metre wide zones at plus 2 grams per tonne beneath the pits. That'll all come into our kind of updated resource in the coming months. So there's all that historic data that still exists, as well as the drill holes that we've been doing ourselves. And it goes back to that really simple approach that we took to looking for projects, was things that had potential for resource growth and exploration upside, and the historic data that exists within the project was more than enough indication that was very real.
The resource will shine a light on those things, though, won't it? They actually put some numbers on it and bring it out of the closet in terms of just a bunch of drilling data, and actually say, hey, this is meaningful, and now the market can value it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a well-trodden path, right? There's lots of companies that have started in life in a very similar position to Leeuwin and have become, big kind of well-known entities today. So we're just...
Well, it's been one of the most fruitful areas for investors in the past few years, hasn't it? I mean, you mentioned Spartan earlier on. Every investor's dream to take a project like that and do the fantastic work that Simon Lawson and the team did there. And hey, presto, the value they created for investors was just phenomenal. Yeah,
and I think it goes back to that idea of looking at old projects maybe in different eyes, and we're definitely trying to take that approach. And also, the best place to find gold's under the kind of shadow of the A-frame. So that was something we wanted as well. When you have these projects, that there's a mineralised fluids, there's the right structures, there's the right system there. There's gold there. So now it's like, well, how can we kind of think differently and continue to grow what's beyond what's already been mined, and we're seeing really good indications that does continue at depth, and there's other target areas that just haven't been looked at as well that we're doing the work on.
Great. Well, you're probably getting ready to go to site, I would have thought. You're going to go and keep a close eye on the drilling rig at some stage?
Yeah, we'll be up there. It's I think that's the other kind of great thing is it's a kind of few hour drive away from the office, so you can literally hop in your car in the morning and you'll be on site.
You can take a geologist out of the bush, but...
Yeah.
Well, it's all the best with the drilling program. The resource calculations underway. Obviously, you've got strong news flow between now and Christmas. So watch this space. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, guys.
You've been listening to The Whole Truth, a Resources Rising Stars podcast, produced by Resource Media, hosted by Paul Armstrong for Reed Corporate. Please note that Reed Corporate does not provide investment advice, and investors should seek personalised advice before making any investment decisions.